Welcome back to the David Pakman Show.
Back on the show, a couple of new David Pakman Show members of the week that I want to say hello to, Donna Muller and Tamer Adogdu. That membership list is growing, Lewis. Big, big, big time.
Yeah.
Lewis really likes this song.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's what I'm laughing at.
All right. There you go, Lewis. How many memberships have you sold at this point now to people?
Like 20 mil or so.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's really
Can you
good.
believe it?
No.
Pretty unbelievable.
Did you put them outside also so they wouldn't get ruined during the storm?
I did. You don't want them to spoil.
Very good. Herman Cain's sexual harassment allegations, or harassment, as some people say. Is that even proper? How does someone decide whether to call it harassment or harassment?
I call it harassment.
Yeah, so do I. But a lot of people say harassment.
That's their prerogative.
Some people... yeah.
Tomato, tomato.
Is that what it's just a personal difference?
Yeah.
All right.
You know, there are people that have other names, names for you other than David, right?
Sure. We won't get into them, but that does exist.
You can't say them on
the air.
Yeah.
Exactly. So Politico comes out with the story that there are two women who are alleging that Herman Cain sexually harassed them, or harassed them, either way, and that they want him to comment. And supposedly the initial story was they were completely anonymous sources. Herman Cain said, we're not going to respond to the request for comment. They're anonymous. We're not going to get into anything about it because this is just bogus. You guys are fishing. Then it all starts to fall apart, right? So initially you hear about possible sexual harassment by Herman Cain, and he just says it's just bogus. There's no names. There's no actions. There's nothing. No comment. Maybe he's going to get out of this one, right? Then it starts to turn out that there were descriptions of physical gestures that were not overtly sexual that made women who experienced or witnessed them uncomfortable, and that it was considered improper. So now we're hearing something specific from Politico. It actually doesn't sound that bad. Even at this point, it's still possible that really nothing that bad happened, okay? It doesn't sound great to have these allegations if you're running for president and if you're polling well the way Herman Cain is, even though he's not going to be the nominee. But okay, he didn't really do anything that was overtly sexual. He can get out of this one. It's okay. You still with me, Lewis?
I'm with you.
Then he starts to backtrack a little bit, okay? And it all kind of starts to fall apart. And the first thing was, well, we know who the people were, we know who the sources were, or we didn't know. Because Cain said, I have no idea who any of these people are. I have no idea. No names have been given to me. And then smoking Mark Block, you remember Mark Block, who was smoking in the famous smoking ad?
Yep.
He was asked about this, and he said, oh, yeah, Politico gave us the name of one of the people, in direct conflict with what Herman Cain was saying. Here's video of Mark Block saying, yeah, we got a name.
I don't know what that name is. Okay, because he said that he never got any names. He said on TV, so you guys did get a name.
I think they did pass the name along, correct?
Okay.
They did pass a name along, correct. Okay, so there's contradiction number one. Doesn't start to look particularly good for Herman Cain. He says they didn't get any names. It turns out that, yes, he did get a name, okay? So Cain responds and says, well, I'm just not going to comment now. After we get confirmation they got a name. So then the whole thing continues. Now it starts to become where Herman Cain is now just saying, I didn't do anything. And when we start to ask more detailed questions about exactly what he did and didn't do, it all kind of seems a little flimsy. Let's take a listen to some of this supposedly exclusive interview Herman Cain did. He did a lot of exclusive interviews. Apparently they were exclusive as a collective, because individually they don't seem that exclusive to me.
Right.
Exclusive to Fox News, maybe. Let's see.
Any sort of sexual harassment.
Have you ever had to settle a claim, falsely accused or not? Sometimes a settlement happens when a false accusation is made. Have you ever had to settle a claim, given money or paid someone because of a claim of sexual harassment or sexual misconduct?
At the restaurant association, now outside of the restaurant association, absolutely not.
Right.
If the restaurant association...
He has never had to pay someone because they allege sexual harassment
Outside
of the one time where he did exactly as alleged in Politico, right?
Mm-hmm.
Lewis, have you ever killed anyone?
No.
Right. Are you sure? Never, ever, ever? Well, I'm saying other than the one you got convicted and did 25 years in jail for. Other than that, have you ever killed anyone?
No.
Right. Exactly. Lewis has never killed anyone other than that one time, but that doesn't count. So
Right.
this
it also
is,
doesn't exist.
This is
just so the listeners are clear.
well, right.
I may kill Dave one day.
It doesn't
see.
exist, guys. It doesn't exist. But I'm sorry, Lewis. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
So then this continues, and just none of this really seems to make any sense to me. Take a listen.
Association did a settlement. I wasn't even aware of it, and I hope it wasn't for much because nothing happened. So if there was a settlement, it was handled by some of the other officers that worked for me at the association. So
More conflicts. He says he hopes the settlement wasn't for much. Wait a second. He knows about it. He said it was for 2 or 3 months' salary. In another, where did he say this? He said this to Fox separately, to Greta Van Susteren. It was 2 or 3 months' salary. So wait a second. You don't remember, you hope it wasn't for much, but then you say it was actually for 2 or 3 months' salary? It's all falling apart. What does he remember? Did he misremember? Is he like Alberto Gonzalez? He just doesn't recall?
Doesn't recall remembering.
He doesn't recall remembering, and he doesn't remember forgetting. But then he remembers.
Right.
He's unforgotten. He's misforgotten. So this is all really just falling apart as far as I see. And you know what? He then went on to say many voters won't be turned off by sexual harassment claims. When Greta Van Susteren asked, do you think this will affect your chances? That's the thing. He's probably right. A lot of the people that would even consider voting for Herman Cain probably wouldn't care about sexual harassment claims. That's the one accurate thing we've heard.
Why do you say that?
What do you mean? Because if you're going to vote for the type of candidate, like, for example, if you're not going to be turned, if you're considering voting for Perry or Herman Cain, niggerhead, right? Or sexual harassment, you're probably somebody who's comfortable with things that are very insulting to people, whether it be minorities, whether it be women. If you're comfortable saying, even in cases of rape and incest, a woman doesn't deserve to make her own choices. If you're able to go that far...
Yeah, but then immediately after he said that he thinks women should have the choice.
Well, flip-flopping aside.
Herman Cain? Oh,
Yeah.
no, yeah, you're right. In the same sentence, he both said he is both pro-choice and anti-choice. I know that. But what I'm saying is, if you're in the ballpark of someone who says, it's a legitimate position to tell women, for a politician to tell a woman, you can't make decisions about your own body, are you really going to be turned off because he made some gestures? No, you're not going to care about that. Am I off on that? I mean, does that...
No, probably not.
Does that make sense, Natan?
I don't know. I mean, I think, hey, I criticize Republican voters for all sorts of different reasons. I just don't know that we can say that they're, pro-molestation.
No. First of all, nobody's saying he molested anyone.
Pro-harassment.
What I'm saying is...
Or harassment.
Harassment.
Guys, you guys are losing this. I'm not saying anybody is pro-harassment.
No. We know what you're saying.
What I'm saying is, if
You're saying this isn't going to sway the people who are going to be voting for him anyway.
Exactly. If you're comfortable putting women in a bad position in the ways that so many Republican policies do, you're not going to care about a couple of claims of sexual harassment or harassment, either way, or both.
Fair enough.
This brings up the question, who exactly is supporting Herman Cain?
That's the real
question. What is
question.
the demographic? I can't think of any demographic. I mean, certainly not women, but white
Wealthy men who love pizza.
The pizza crowd, you think?
Wealthy men who love pizza.
A lot of people in the polls seem to be supporting him.